Okay, have a Batra Daf Kofio Ter Amud Aleph, 4 lines down. Amar more. Earlier we said Habanim, the sons of the spies and the people who complained, they didn't get land from their fathers because their fathers lost their portions. However, Natlu b'zchut aviyah v'hen v'zchut aviyah ma'atahen, they took the portion via their grandfathers through their father or mother. By the time the Gemara says b'zchut atzman, we have a different verse that says that they received verse this there with their own zechut, with their own merits. I said, Lakasha, it's not a contradiction. Ka command the Mitzrayim, the command the Maradets. The first Brayta, which said that you didn't get first with their own merits, but rather their father. That's goes according to the opinion that they got land via the people who left Mitzrayim. Second Brayta, which says that they got by their own merits. That's according to the opinion that held that they entered with their own that land Eretz Yisrael was only given out for those who entered Eretz Yisrael. It's both opinions held that it's according to those who entered the land. Had the Hava ben Esrim in this second Brayta that says that they got first their own merits. That was according to the opinion that's referring to children who are above 20 years old when they entered. Had Lo ben Esrim according to the first Brayta, which is they did not get their own land. They didn't get the land for their own merits, but rather through the grandparents. That was according to the opinion. Sorry, that's referring to the children who were not 20 years old when they entered Israel, and therefore they have to get via elsewhere. Next part of Mishnah. Got another additional portion because they took via Hefer their grandpa because Tzlofchad was a Bechor to Hefer and he got double portion. Lama Gemara says, why is he getting double portion? Ra'oihu, Hefer's portion was a eventual or eligible part of the inheritance. And a firstborn did not take double portion in a eligible inheritance, but only takes double portion in what's concrete, right? You don't take double portion in something that's not there yet. Oh, he's gonna get land later, he's gonna get funds later. No, you only take double portion in what's there now. So if he's gonna get land in Eretz Yisrael, why are they getting double portion if it doesn't exist yet? It's referring to double portion in the tents of Chefer, movable property, but not land. Mativ Rabbi, I have a question. Rabbi Damari says, we took 4 portions. Shnemar, by Pelu Habim and Asher Asara, they took 10 portions to Menashe. So we see that all of them got land. The Gemara says, no, ah, very good. It's considered, we said earlier, same concept. When they left Mitzrayim, it's as if they already owned Eretz Yisrael. Therefore, that firstborn portion was considered already owned. Gemara says, different question. Shimon was a friend of mine. מתלמידי רבי עקיבא, from the student of רבי עקיבא, וכך היה רבי שמעון, מה שקוראים ברבי ישראל following. יודע היה מה שרבי שמעון knew, שבנות צלופחד ירשות, and the daughters of Tzlofchad are supposed to get land. אבל לא היה he didn't know אם נטלות חלק בכורה, whether or not they're getting firstborn portion. אוריה הייתה פרשת נחלת להכתב על ידי משה. Technically, the inheritance is halacha should have written through Moshe. אלא שזכו בנות צלופחד ונכתבה ידן. But since the daughters of Tzolchad were tzadikot, tzkaniot, they had the zechut of writing it through them. Moshe also knew that the person who famously cut down the wood on Shabbat was chayav mitah. Shneimar pasuk says, the pasuk says the person who's mechel Shabbat is chayav mitah. But he didn't know which type of death the guy would get. Technically, Moshe was supposed to write down the concept of mokoshesh, the person who cuts down wood. But since Moshe was guilty, it was written through him. The concept of being chayav mitah on Shabbat was written through him. To teach you, good things are given to people who do good things, and bad things are written through people who do bad things. Yani Tzlofchad's daughters requested land of Eretz Yisrael, and they cried out for it. Therefore, it was written through them. Good things, good tidings. And versus the person who was Mahel Shabbat, he had mitah written about him. Okay. If you want to tell me Eretz Yisrael Huzeket, that the land of Eretz Yisrael is considered in possession from the left Mizraim, my kam mizdavkale, what was the Moshe's safek? Why was he in doubt? He didn't know, oh, firstborn portion not. Well, if you're saying clearly that it's considered owned already, then it shouldn't be a safek. The Gemara says, he gufa kam mizdavkale. He wasn't sure whether or not it's considered a muhzak. He wasn't sure whether or not it's considered pre-owned. That's what the safek was. Versus the T, Pasuk says, Pasuk says, I'll give it to you as an inheritance. Yerushahi lachem avotechem, seemingly that it's a Yerusha from the fathers. Maybe it means that those who leave Mitzrayim will give the land to their children, but they won't get it themselves because they won't survive, like prophetically. And Hashem answered both questions. Yerusha lachem avotechem, this land will be an inheritance for them. from your fathers who leave Mitzrayim, and however they will leave Mitzrayim, but they won't end up living because they will die. The Hanatif, as Pasuk also says, very interesting by Azir Shir. You will bring them and they will be on your land, inheritance. Tivi'enu lo namar. It doesn't say that the Jews didn't say you will bring us to Eretz Israel. Ela tivi'enu, you will bring them. They accidentally prophesied saying that they weren't going to make it. They were going to end up dying. Very crazy. Okay, but They stood, the daughters of Suhad stood before Moshe, before Elazar Cohen, and before the leaders and the entire Eidah, entire the assembly. So, what do you mean? Why did they have to stand for a deen in front of Moshe, Elazar, leaders, and the entire Bnei Israel? Moshe didn't answer them right away. Then they went in front of leaders and the entire assembly without an answer. Why if Moshe didn't know the answer, why would they go to the next person who's lower? Rather, you have to read the pasuk backwards. They went to the assembly, Elazar, leaders, Elazar, and then Moshe. We were sitting in the Bet Midrash, and the daughters of Chad went and stood, asked the question in front of everybody in one shot. More Abba Hanan held that a person can give kavod to the student in front of the master, and therefore she was able to ask the question to Elazar and the students, even though Moshe Rabbeinu was there. But Rabbi Yoshi holds no. If Moshe Rabbeinu was there, that you can't ask the other people who are under him, and that's why you have to go backwards in order. The halacha is that you can give kavod to the student. Where another thing, the halacha is that you can't give. So the Gemara says, "Kashi halacha." We can remind it's halacha. Just a no. The Gemara says, in the case where a person can give kavod to the student in front of the teacher, is where the teacher himself gives kavod to the students. And Moshe was the king of that. He's very humble. He knows that you can't give kavod to the students when the teacher does not honor his student. Yani, the student has still much to learn. He doesn't defer to him. And therefore, in that case, you shouldn't give kavod to the student in front of the teacher. Tana Batra says, daughters of Suchad were smart. That they knew how to learn pasuk, the Torah. And they're also said kaniyot. They're smart because they spoke in a good way. They spoke very eloquently in the ways of how the world works. Because we see he says Moshe Rabbeinu was sitting and teaching the halachot of Yibum, how the brother-in-law marries the sister-in-law whose husband passed away. Shneimar, without children. When brothers will live and one of them dies, he has no sons. The wife marries one of the brother-in-laws. Amrulo, the daughter said to Moshe, if we're considered like a son, because we know that if the Yibum only happens if there's no children, even if there's no son. Even if there's no son and there's daughters, the wife doesn't get married. So we see that if we're like a son in that regard, that our mother would not remarry, then we should get an inheritance like a son. Imlav, we're not considered a son. Let our mother remarry and go yibum. But we know that's not true. So miyad ve'ikrev Moshe liked their case and brought it to Hashem. They knew how to learn Torah. They said, if our father had a son, we would not have spoken. They know that if they had a brother, they wouldn't have get anything. But the Gemara says, but the Braita says that the daughter said if our father would have had a daughter, we would not have spoken. How do you explain that? Delete that word. The word daughter doesn't make sense. Abayim married a different explanation. The daughters knew halacha that they said if our father had a son who passed away, but he had a daughter, our niece through a brother, we wouldn't have spoken because we know that it would have gone to him. But we're here because there's nobody else. Very smart. They were they only married men who were fitting for them. And they waited a long time. Even the youngest one did not get married under 40 years old. They all waited till they found someone who was fitting for them. They only waited for someone for their own shevet so that they don't transfer the property of their father out. And the Gemara says, 1 second. They waited until they're 40 years old. And they said, a woman who married before 20 years old, should be able to have kids until she's 60. She married after 20 years old, she'll have children until she's 40. She married when she's 40, she won't have kids. So how can Tzlopchad's daughters have kids? And then rather, since they were tzidkaniot, they were very righteous, they were able to have miracles like Yocheved. The Pasuk says, "V'elech ish min bet Levi v'yikach bat Levi." A man from Levi went and took the daughter of Levi. Refers to Amram marrying Yocheved. Efshar bat me'av shoshim b'shana ve'kara lebat. So if she's 130 years old at the time, why are you calling her a daughter? Right? The Amar Rabbi Shema Bar Hanina. Zu Yocheved is referring to Yocheved. Shehorata b'derech tnanta ben Achmot. She was conceived while Levi was going from Canaan to Misraim to meet Yosef. And she was born white when they entered Misraim. She was born in Misraim, but not conceived in Misraim. But Michael Batso, how come she's considered a daughter if she's 130 years old? Amar Avuda Amar Zivida. They mentioned Uda Bas Arut because she had the characteristics of the young woman. She came back there. And then Basar, her flesh became soft. And Pashtu, her katamin, her wrinkles smoothed out. And she became beautiful again. Her cycle came back. He took the daughter of Levi. He should have said he remarried her. Why did I say he took her? Amram made a party, a wedding, as if they got married for the first time. Hoshiva Ba'aprioni put her in the beautiful chair that the first time bride would sit in. Varon Miriam and their children Aron Miriam were singing in front of her. The angels were saying, Ima benim smecha, the mother of children is happy when in this type the famous pasuk because she was able to get married again. Right? We know that Miriam was the one in the first place who convinced her father Amram to remarry, and he made her a beautiful party because he saw that she became she became young again. So when we mentioned the daughter of the Torah mentioned them in the order of their age. By when they came to Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah mentioned them in order of their wisdom. This proves according to Rabbi Amar in regarding to Torah matters, you go according to wisdom and gadlut. When you're sitting at a party or a wedding, you go after the age. Like nowadays we give the kiddush, the wine or the bread after age. The first concept is only when the wise man is extremely wise and even if he's younger than the old man, but if he's extremely wise, you can give it to him first. And the second halacha is referring to only when the old man is not the most learned, is extremely old, that's when you start with him. Berta says differently that according to Bishmael, the daughters of the Sahaba were all equal. They became wives. They were all one and the same in their level of greatness. Amen. Amen.